Well, hi everybody. Welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra here today with the CEO, with the boss, Stephanie. And today on John's Brief, something a little different because, of course, neither of us are lawyers.
No.
But both of us highly qualified in terms of the law of self-defense. And I want to ask Stephanie today about the myths that she sees propagated in the comments section and how we combat them.
Now more than ever, you need trusted coverage to help you win the fight after the fight. The company I trust and recommend is Firearms Legal Protection. They offer discounts on all their plans at the link in the description. I recommend the premium plan.
Let's establish bona fides first of all, Stephanie. You
Okay.
are, of course, highly qualified to talk about legal and moral issues in self-defense.
Yes. Yes.
Say words now.
More. Besides staying at a Holiday Inn Express last night, I am a certified graduate of Massad Ayoob Group's Deadly Force Instructor.
Okay.
I'm certified by my state to be a use of force instructor in South Dakota. I am a certified graduate of the Law of Self-Defense Instructor Program, and anything that I've done for my own CCW and on my own, totaling about 130 hours of instruction in just legal, moral, ethical self-defense.
Also a Force Science Institute certified
Yes,
Force Science
yes.
analyst.
Yes, sir.
Kind of a big deal class
Pretty
there.
big deal. One of
So,
my favorite classes.
Now, again, what I want you guys to recognize is that in the legal self-defense world, most lawyers are not specialists in self-defense
Right.
because they just there's so much law to practice. Most of them don't practice criminal law, and those who practice criminal law very seldom practice self-defense law.
Right.
Because there's so many ways you can get in criminal trouble that have nothing to do with self-defense.
Right.
So you also, as part of your duties as CEO, are in the comments section,
Yep.
both here on Extra and on the main channel.
Yes.
And I set this up, but give me the number one myth that you see from a legal and moral perspective propagated in the comments.
Number one, I've got a couple. I think maybe number one would be the idea that it's very black and white, that they can read something that's in the statutes and understand what that means, and that will be fairly applied and they understand it. It's very easy to get an understanding of what the self-defense law is in your state.
So can you unpack that? What is that? I mean, why would
Sure.
it not? I mean, why would I not think that's the case?
100%. And in fact, when I started becoming a self-defender, just on a personal level, before I started learning and teaching myself, that is what I thought, that I should just be able to pull up the statutes of my state, read them. They should be in very plain English because they're for people like me to read and to understand and to make pretty important decisions about my life with these rules. And so I read them and I did think that I understood them. As time went on and as I began learning more myself, I began understanding a couple of things. Number one, it isn't as clear as it seems to be.
Mm-hmm.
There are legal dictionaries and words are defined very specifically, and they may be defined quite differently than we would use them in just conversational English.
Laws are written in lawyer. They use English words, but it is a totally different language.
Right. And then as I got into the comment sections where I have these big cross sections of people and population, we've seen time and time again, people can interpret the same set of circumstances on that video under the same legal requirements very differently. I can see gifted lawyers arguing different sides and really believe what they're arguing. It's just not as clear as you think. In fact, there have been multiple videos when I've been able to say, wow, I can articulate either side of that equation.
So I think once you understand the actual law, right? Like once you've parsed it out in lawyer and you go, okay, so this is what this means in lawyer, that's pretty cut and dried. But it's how the facts fit that statute
Right.
that I think there's definite room for interpretation in.
There really is, and especially because we talk about a reasonable standard, the standard of the reasonable man that really is the umbrella over everything. So you have all of your laws and all of your case law and all of your requirements, but then you also have what's reasonable, and different people may interpret what that means quite differently depending on your culture, the people you get on your jury. I mean,
Who the district attorney is?
right. What their point in prosecuting the case is certainly is plenty of history of people that have had what are really cut and dried legal self-defense shoots and have still gone through really horrific legal ordeals simply because it wasn't as cut and dried as they thought.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I think, sometimes we see stuff like we had a recent badge cam that, a lot of commenters were like, John, you're an idiot on this one, and you're totally wrong, even though I don't think I am.
You weren't, yeah. But it was very emotional, and as we know, once you get very emotional, and it was a very upsetting thing to watch, a
Yeah,
very
for
upsetting
sure.
situation
Yeah,
to
yeah.
watch, especially someone from my background when we have mental illness in our families. So to watch that was upsetting, and then when you get up in your feelings, you kind of lose that logical,
Yeah.
rational thought. So yeah, they were pretty upset about it, and also didn't understand as clearly as they thought they did.
Yeah, yeah, and so okay, so people are think things are more cut and dried than they are. So what does that mean for them when they're out there living their life as a self-defender? You think?
Oh, yeah, I think the other piece of that kind of answers that as well is I think a lot of people think because I'm a good guy and everyone sees me as a good guy, and most of the time in our everyday interactions, that is how we're seen and is how we're treated. They think that's going to carry right on through. So the fact that they read these laws, they thought they understood them, they acted as a good guy, that's all going to be seen and really well understood by everyone they interact with. And I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case.
Yeah, you know, you like to think, of course, we say in American jurisprudence that we'd rather 100 guilty people go free than one innocent person go to prison. But in reality, you can get punished with the process just as easily as with actual prison.
Right.
And so I really think at the end of the day, when you ask the question, not can I and not even should I use a gun here, but must I? Do I have to? If you ask that and the answer is yes, you must, then you're probably going to have a much easier time.
Right.
But if you go, well, I think I'm within the law here, and so I can,
Right.
then you're going to really run into trouble.
Right, and we do see that over and over again. Things that would maybe be legal in this jurisdiction, a little fuzzier in this one, and people kind of getting in trouble, getting ahead of themselves, not understanding how punishing the process can be even under the best of circumstances.
Yeah. So today's takeaway for you from somebody who is watching regular, good, sane, sober, moral people, and I assume that's all of you because you watch this channel, and the place they get themselves in trouble, number one, is not understanding what the statute actually says because they think it's in English, and then number two, thinking that the facts of the matter are easily applied to that situation when the reality is there's an awful lot not. So the take home for us today from somebody who does it all the time, every day with me, is to make sure that you understand them well and then live them conservatively. And I'm not talking about politically there at all. I'm talking about living them in such a manner that you're always on the side of the right there. Because if you do, then you should be okay. But if you start skirting the line, man, you could have big problems.
Right.
Boss, appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.